Hi, I'm Janae of JanaeM.com, financial consultant and real estate investor. And if you're new to me, I focus on helping first generation grads figure out how to manage their money so they can pay off debt, build wealth, and create a strong legacy. I understand that, like me, because I was also a first generation grad, you weren't taught about money at home, growing up, or in school. And so I wanted to help fill that gap as a financial professional to give you information that your parents never taught you, your teachers didn't teach you, and financial institutions won't tell you. So if you have a question that you'd like me to address on a future video, make sure you visit bit.ly/ask-Janae. And you can go to the About section to get the link to that page. So today I'll be talking about how I saved $18,000 before buying my first home. So I purchased my first home at the age of 25, and I've made the decision that I wanted to own a home at the age of 18. So I'm originally from New York City. I now live in Richmond, Virginia, and my family was basically uprooted from New York because we were facing foreclosure, so we were forced to sell. And then my mom moved us from New York to Virginia, where we had a lot of cousins and stuff. And so if you go on my website and you read my story, you'll understand that there's no reason why that should have happened. But simply because my dad wasn't doing a good job at managing his money and our family's estate, unfortunately, we ended up losing our home. So I decided that I did not want to live in the condition that we were in at the time, because when we moved, we were moving apartments every 2 to 3 years when I was used to growing up in a house. The first house we had, we was in for 4 years, and then the house that we sold before we moved to Virginia, we was in for 12 years. So I was used to living in a home. So when we moved to Virginia, we were literally moving every 2 to 3 years because my mom couldn't afford the rent increases. And unfortunately, my parents ended up getting divorced. So I made the decision that I wanted to become a homeowner at the age of 18, and there were steps that I took between the age of 18 and 25, which I packaged in an online course that I created called The Blueprint: Buying a Home and Building Wealth with Real Estate, which is available on my website if you'd like to check that out. But one of the steps that I took was saving money. So saving enough not to just have enough for a down payment, but also my emergency fund. So that's important. When you're preparing to buy a home, you don't want to just think about the expenses for your home. You want to think about after you get in the home, because if you think about it, a mortgage is 15 or 30 years. And so that's a lot of time, and you want to make sure you take the right steps so that way you don't find yourself in a situation like my dad did and our family, where 12 years into owning your home and you have the money to be able to make your mortgage payments, you come upon some issues that keeps you from taking care of your responsibilities. So that's why it's important to learn how to manage your money. It does not matter how much you have, it's what you do with it. And that's something that I live by. So I'm going to get right into it. So how I saved $18,000 before buying my first home. So when I graduated from college, I got a job in corporate America, and I was making my desired salary at the time. So I committed to saving a certain amount of money each month. It was $500. And I sent that through to my savings account immediately. So that's a tip that I recommend. If you're not saving now and you want to buy a home, that's rule number 1. Number 2, once you decide what you're going to save, and I would recommend on a minimum 10%, but you can do a certain dollar amount, commit to doing that at least once a month or every time you get paid. So I had $500 direct deposited to my savings account. And since it never hit my checking account, and I started doing that from the time I started working, I got used to living off of less money. And so because this money was automatically sent to my savings account, it's something I didn't think about. And it was money that I knew would always be there. So I did that for 3.5 years. Yes. And the reason why I was able to continue to do this is because, again, I set up my direct deposit for my paycheck to go directly to my savings account so it wouldn't hit my checking, and so I got used to living off of less money. So rule number 1 is, set a amount that you want to save. Number 2, you want to automate it by either updating your direct deposit with your job or sending a direct transfer from your checking account to your savings that's scheduled each time you get paid. And number 3, you want to make sure that you're doing it on a consistent basis. So that's all that I have for now. Again, if you want a question answered in an upcoming episode, make sure you visit bit.ly/ask-Janae. And another motto that I live by: as long as you've got questions, I've got answers. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.